Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Jason Redmond from Wounded Wear. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing awesome today, Rory. How are you?
That's good. It's a real honor having you in here today. I got a chance to speak with your wife, but I haven't actually had a chance to talk with you. And I booked you on here right away. I thought it was a story that needed to be told. Tell us a little bit about, give us just an overview of what is Wounded Wear.
So Wounded Wear is an organization, nonprofit organization that is designed to provide free clothing and clothing modifications to our wounded warriors, and then has empowering events and creates opportunities for wounded warriors, their families, and families of the fallen.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a pretty big job.
It is, and it grows bigger and bigger. I mean, we are at a time right now, you've got, currently the numbers are over 50,000 combat wounded warriors, meaning they were directly impacted by the enemy, Purple Heart recipients. You extend that further and it's probably hundreds of thousands of current veterans from this conflict who were injured in the line of duty, who were injured overseas, or who have some sort of injury to their body that occurred from serving. And then, of course, if we take our families of the fallen, you're talking over 6,000. I think we're reaching up to 6,500 that we've lost between Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it just, on my path of being wounded and encountering all these different people, it just made me say, I want to make a difference. I think there are things we can do from the lessons that I learned and my wife learned as we went through it. How can we help all these different people?
Well, let's get into that story a little bit, because it's an interesting story and one of triumph over tragedy. Tell us how you got into this and tell us your story.
So I served a little over 20 years with the SEAL teams, and on my second combat deployment, I was in Iraq, and we were tasked to go after a bad guy. And unfortunately, things didn't go according to plan, got into a big firefight, and I was hit multiple rounds between my body and body armor. Took 2 rounds in the left elbow, and I took a round directly to the face. The facial wound, of course, did pretty extensive damage. Lost almost all of my nose, cheekbone, shattered all the bones around my eye, shattered my jaw. And, definitely extensive damage that needed quite a bit of reconstructive surgery to put me back together. So on that road, which took almost 4 years, it was almost 40 surgeries to put me back together. And on that road, I encountered a lot of different people. You know, people that look different, of course, sparks curiosity, anywhere from just the brief sideways glance to all-out gawking. And that bothered me in the beginning. You know, as a wounded warrior, as a family of the fallen, one of the biggest things I think you ask yourself is, was my sacrifice worth it? Do my fellow citizens recognize what I've done for the freedom of this nation? And if you don't feel that, it makes it really hard to drive forward and overcome what you've encountered, because, you know, you need to know that your country that you fought for is backing you. So as I walked down that road and grappled with that question, I'd meet these people who would stop and stare, and those who had the courage to ask me what happened, a lot of time, oh wow, I never thought of that. I kind of assumed you were in a motorcycle accident or a car accident. And that was in 2007. We'd been at war for 6 years at that point, and it was mind-blowing to me that most of our citizens didn't think about that. They didn't see somebody who was seriously injured and think, wow, I wonder if this person could have been wounded at war. So that was really the defining spark that ignited Wounded Wear. It was to create a national awareness of the sacrifice that's been made to empower our citizens to enjoy the freedoms that they live in every day, that there are guys and gals who are going out there who are fighting to sustain what we have today. And the second part of Wounded Wear was I couldn't wear regular clothing. Battlefield injuries are very traumatic. High-velocity gunshot wounds, high-velocity blast injuries from IEDs devastate bone and tissue. So, you know, you can't just slap a cast on it. It usually takes devices called external fixators to put us back together. And when you have an external fixator, it's metal rods, and people have seen them, halo devices, and large pieces of metal around warriors' bodies. We can't wear regular clothing. So on top of the fact that now you're burned or disfigured or missing a limb, you have these medical devices that just attract more attention. So we wanted to be able to do two things with our clothing. We wanted to be able to give them clothing that gave a voice to the reason why they looked the way they did, to make a statement, I'm not a victim, I was wounded for your freedom, and I did this for you, I sacrificed for you, for my fellow citizens. And the second part was to be able to wear clothing, Rory, you wearing this suit right here, that's what you like to wear day to day. I want to be able to give our wounded warriors that same ability. If that's what they like to wear, then we want to modify that so they can wear it around their medical devices, their prosthetics, whatever it is.
All right, so we're going to get into a little bit more of that. So you mentioned that you give out these kits, I think you call them, of clothes. Who qualifies for that? So let's clear that up.
So currently right now, I'll hit the first question. So the kit right now is it is a roller luggage bag, very nice roller luggage bag embroidered with wounded wear, with probably the largest item in it is a real nice medium weight windbreaker insulated jacket. So that comes in it. Then it comes with multiple t-shirts. It comes with a pair of kind of lounge type shorts. Comes with a pair of workout shorts, a workout t-shirt. It comes with multiple books, different books that we found. One by a friend of mine, Brian Fleming, wrote the book Redeployed, which is about coming back from war and assimilating back into society, dealing with PTSD and dealing with people who haven't seen the damage that war can inflict on both your mind and your soul. Another one is written by a great reporter friend of mine, Kim Dozier, who was blown up in an IED attack in 2006. And her book is called Breathing the Fire. And it is really about that journey of figuring out that she wasn't going to be able to go back to continue to being a war correspondent. And I think anybody who suffers that catastrophic event, wounded warrior, family of the fallen, you have to figure out what your new 100% is and how to get there. And Kim's book is about that, how she sorted through her injuries and got to her new 100%. And then the last big part of the kit, and the thing that I think most wounded warriors like the most, is we have 3 items in there that we don't sell at all. Only wounded warriors get them. And they are 2 different t-shirts that say "Scarred so that others may live free," and then a Purple Heart polo with the Wounded Wear logo on it and embroidered with the Purple Heart. And those items are a very clear marker to anybody who sees them. Oh, I get it. I understand why this person looks this way.
So it sounds like that you're doing something for both the physical and the mental.
Absolutely. And many times the mental or the invisible wounds of war are the deepest. Right. We're currently right now losing 19 veterans a day to suicide. So that is the new war right now, and it's occurring here on our soil. And it's an incredibly multifaceted war. And it really is we've got to convince our veterans who've come home that, one, we value what they did, we appreciate what they did, and 2, that there's a place for them. We've got to help them find a new purpose. That purpose before was going out and fighting on the battlefield. Now they come home and we've got terrible economic conditions. We have a lot of people who aren't really involved in the war. So that is one of the big things. And we're hoping the kit and that clothing can help do that by helping to raise the awareness.
Okay.
The second part of that question that you asked was who is eligible.
Who is, yeah.
So currently right now it's only Purple Heart recipients. It's only our direct combat wounded, and then we provide our Scarred so that others may live free t-shirts to the families of our fallen. So if you're ever out in public and you see somebody wearing a Scarred so that others may live free shirt with our logo, you'll know that either they were wounded on the battlefield or they lost a loved one on the battlefield. I hope as funding grows to expand our programs, and we want to create a kit without the Purple Heart logo and insignia in it for the veterans out there who've been severely injured in the line of duty. because there's a lot of those out there also.
Okay, and well, I have a million questions that brought up, but I'll stick to my list here. Okay, so you told us what was in the kit. You mentioned earlier that you do clothes modification. Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Absolutely, and that's a program that we really want to get the word out more. It was something I sorely needed when I was wounded. I mean, I was trached, I had a stomach tube, I had metal rods coming out of my arm. At one time I had a leg brace. So these are all things that stopped me from wearing regular clothing. So that program, the demand for it isn't quite as high as I really thought it would be, but I think that's a big awareness piece because the guys are aware of it, love it. And basically we've done modifications from everything from, we had an individual who broke his neck in a helicopter crash and lost a friend and wanted to attend the funeral memorial service in uniform. Well, obviously he couldn't wear his uniform with the large neck brace, the cervical collar he had to wear. So we actually modified his shirt, added extra material so that he was able to actually close his collar and jacket around the cervical brace. The number one modification we do is for our amputees. Prosthetic devices, you know, the ankle doesn't actually bend. So for most of them. So to actually put your pants on with your prosthetic device on is almost impossible.
Hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, neither would I,
Yeah.
until I now have so many friends who wear prosthetics.
Right.
The other thing with a prosthetic device is the way they're designed. You know, they usually have a sleeve and it suctions into that sleeve, the fit of the prosthetic. Well, if they're walking along and that gets loose in any way, then they're going to have to remove their pants in order to adjust that. You know, they can't just pull up their leg. That's why you see a lot of amputees wear shorts all the time. It's easier than actually, you know, trying to deal with their prosthetic. So what we're doing is we're taking their existing clothing, because everybody has different tastes, everybody has different styles, and then we're putting zippers inside the inseam so you never even can see it. It blends right in.
So they would send the clothing into you and you modify it?
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about raising money. How are you raising money to fund this? And we'll talk about how people can help a little bit, but how are you raising money?
So direct donations is definitely the number one way that we're raising money to do this. That is followed up by events. We do a lot of different events, and the events are designed both for fundraising, but they're also designed to bring our wounded warriors and families of the fallen together and empower them. We do it through people can get out there and fundraise for us. A lot of people are starting to run races and stuff on behalf of wounded wear. So they get out and maybe they do one of these mud runs, or maybe they run the Shamrock and they say, I'm going to run this marathon and I want people to sponsor me because I'm going to raise money for wounded wear. So we do that through a CrowdRise platform. And then the last thing is we have an entire clothing line we've created, and this falls directly in line with raising that national awareness. And it's clothing for patriots. Anybody can wear it. And what I like to tell people is support the sacrifice by buying wounded wear. And we have women's clothing, children's clothing, men's clothing, but we really try and pride ourselves on having fashionable clothing that people look at and say, I like that, I'd like to wear it. And then they understand that, you know, it has a purpose. The proceeds from those clothing sales go back to support our mission.
Okay, now you recently had a skydive event, right?
We did.
Yeah, okay.
Can I make one more?
Sure.
I forgot about, so now we're actually starting to expand and we're looking for corporate sponsors. We've reached that level. We have 3 different corporate sponsorship package, a $10,000 level, a $30,000 level, and a $50,000 level. And there are different benefits, really awareness benefits to the company, of course, but you know, tax deductible for supporting wounded warriors, families of the fallen, our organization. But that's the next stage, and we're really starting to look for other corporations in this area that want to get involved, that want to support. A1 American is our first corporate sponsor, and we're really proud to be working with them, and we're hoping to expand that with some other companies.
Okay, and the reason I mentioned the skydive because it caught me off guard when your wife told me about that, but that was just a recent event you had, right?
It is. And that's probably one of the most amazing events that we do. It's my favorite event, and it has the most impact, not only on the warriors and the families of the fallen, but on the community. And it's called Jumping for a Purpose. And this last one, 2 weekends ago, was the fourth one that we've done. And we do it out at Skydive Suffolk, and we take wounded warriors and families of the fallen, and we throw them out of perfectly good airplanes. But, but you know, really the idea behind it is there aren't many things more extreme than skydiving. There are millions and millions, probably billions of people on this planet that would never jump out of an airplane. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you know, you really are putting your trust in a piece of equipment. And if you're doing it with an individual, of course, with a tandem, you know, now you're putting your trust in this individual. And it takes a lot. It takes a level of commitment to get up there and to step off the end of that ramp at 14,000 or 13,000 feet and fall down to the earth. But what I tell the warriors and what I tell the families of the fallen, you know, you've suffered this catastrophic event. You know, you've given up something, your body, parts of your mind. You know, many of our families of the fallen laid this loved one upon the altar of freedom. And if you can do this, you know, this is a symbol of overcoming. And that's what I tell them. If you can do this, there's nothing you can't do. This is merely laying the foundation for greatness. It's merely moving forward and getting out there and overcoming. And that event, I can't tell you how many warriors we have met that have done it. We had a guy 2 years ago who came to the event. He was a double above the knee amputee and really struggling, as some of our wounded warriors do at times, and really struggling to find himself, really kind of going down that dark hole that leads to that end state, if we're not careful, of a suicide. So those are the guys we really want to focus on. And he came to our event, he heard about he could skydive, and he sounded excited, you know, but it didn't bring him out of that hole yet. But he did the jump, ecstatic. And his mother called me about 6 months later and said, I can't tell you the impact that made on my son. After he left, he started school, he's getting his degree, he's embracing life once again. And that's what the event is about.
That's great. That's great. Is there anything that I haven't covered? Because we'll have your contact information on the bottom of the page, but is there anything that I haven't talked about that you'd like to mention?
You know, I think the only thing, you know, one of the slogans on our shirts is, what have you done for your country lately? And the idea behind that slogan, it's not, you know, I once had a reporter ask me, well, gosh, that's kind of in your face, isn't it? And I said, no, it's a thought-provoking statement. You know, it's not designed to offend anyone. It's really designed to make you think about the gift of freedom. And that's what this truly is. To live in this country, to be born in the great nation of America, it was a gift. I mean, you could have been born anywhere in the world, but currently you were born in a country where you have the freedom to achieve anything. And there's been hundreds of thousands, you know, over millions of Americans actually, who have served since the beginning of this great nation because they wanted to protect this gift of freedom. So my question is, what are you doing to give back? You know, service takes many different forms. You don't have to serve in the military to give back to your nation. You know, get out there. Go find some way to do something to give back to your community. You know, support wounded warriors, support families of the fallen. If nothing else, teach your children about the greatness of this country. Teach your children that, you know, heroes aren't made on in the sports arena. Heroes aren't made on the big screen. You know, there's hundreds of thousands of heroes who walk the streets of America, who never get recognition, who went out and they fought against bad people who want to take away this way of life. So
yeah, I think, on a personal note, I think that most people don't give any thought to the freedom that they have. I mean, it's not a thing you wake up in the morning and think about, but when you get it contrasted for you, I know a few years ago I had the opportunity to travel to South America, and I was struck with what they thought about America, and then I had several of them come over and stay with me, and that they said, you know, because you live here, you don't see it. You don't know the difference.
Exactly.
But this is why everybody in the world wants to come here,
Right.
because they know the difference. And we don't appreciate it because we've always had it. So it's there is a difference, and so I appreciate your service. And if you can help Wounded Wear, the information to contact them is at the end of this video. It's also on the bottom of this page. And if you can make a donation, attend an event, or purchase some really cool shirts and other wear, please check out their website. And I appreciate you coming in today. And like I said, it's an honor, and I thank you for your service to the country.
Rory, it's mine. So thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you.